all you Slashaholics. Welcome to Slash Sisters. I'm Slash Sister Jen.
And that makes me Slash Sister Hallie. And we want to welcome you back to the channel that gives you horror movie reviews by true horror movie fans.
That is right. And hey, if it's your first time here, welcome. What the heck took you so long? We're really glad you're here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me while I burp after just taking a drink. Don't mind me, I'm just obnoxious. So
Aren't we all?
Make sure you slash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of this obnoxious burping. It's fun, I promise.
Well, today, folks, we are going back to the world of Mr. King.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably one of the most well-known and popular properties that he has done. It is his very first film, which he sold the film rights for this for $2,500.
Yeah.
And it was his very first novel that he ever wrote.
And you know what? He had been writing for a very long time. He and his wife both. And he nearly gave up. In fact, he had this. His wife
he was going
found
to quit.
this manuscript in the
trash.
garbage and pulled it out and started reading it and was like, Steven, this is great. Like, we need to turn this. You need to turn this in.
Mm-hmm.
And
together, they basically compiled what was the book of Carrie.
Yep. This is a story about bullying and religious fanaticism, and really a story about a very special young woman with some extremely cool powers.
This movie is actually based on Stephen King's very first novel, as we said, that was published. One that is uncharacteristically short for a King novel.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, like 150 pages. It's really not a very big book at all. It was the first Stephen King book that I ever read, actually. And oddly enough, like, so we were talking about this a little bit because there has been a sequel to this movie made, The Rage, Carrie 2. There was also a made-for-TV version that was basically, it was closer to the source material. The way that this made-for-TV version one was written is very much told in, like, an interview form. Where they're interviewing people that knew Carrie or people that were survivors from the attack. And that is the way that the book is written. The book is very much written from a survivor's standpoint, and it is a oral history, which is very different from a lot of Stephen King's other works. But yeah, so it's an interesting story to tell, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what exactly are we've already talked about it. What are we reviewing, Hallie? Carrie!
We are covering the 1976 version because, as we stated, there is a made-for-TV version that came out in 99 or 2000, somewhere in that area. Because
I remember being in high school when it came out.
Right. I think what it was is they dropped The Rage Carrie 2 in, like, 99, and I think 2000 is when they did Carrie. So it was...
Yeah,
people
were
really confused.
Right. There was a lot all at the same time. Yeah.
And then they actually did remake it again in 2013 with Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore playing the mother of that one. But we are going to 76 from with Brian De Palma and starring Sissy Spacek as a young Carrie White.
Yep.
We are covering Carrie.
Yep. So let's go ahead and just jump right on in, shall we?
We start the story in a high school gym class, which then leads us to the shower scene.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking the Psycho shower scene or the Iceman Kills shower scene.
No. In this opening scene, we see all of these young high school girls getting cleaned up and showered after gym class. And for me personally, this scene was so uncomfortable. These are teenagers, and we're literally watching them run around naked. Now, granted, the actresses that were playing these people were of age and allowed to be nude on TV. However,
well, not on TV,
or on film, nude on film. However, the fact that we're in a locker room with teenagers. Gross. Like, this whole opening scene made me feel major ick.
It made me wonder how, even in 76 times, this got made.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, okay.
And
Carrie cannot be older than 17.
Right.
She just can't.
It's not like it's done untastefully.
No.
It's very much shot like an art house piece with the
For sure.
with the slow camera angle, the almost sensual music playing.
But
in
it's
the background.
gross how sensual it is.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It really is. The scene then cuts to Carrie White, who is showering when she notices blood coming from betwixt her legs.
Yep. We don't really know much about Carrie at this point.
Nope.
However, we find out very quickly that Carrie is different and strange.
Sheltered.
Yes,
sheltered is literally the best term to describe it.
She is completely caught off guard and doesn't even know what a period is. Apparently they didn't have sex ed classes.
In the
70s. I don't know. So she actually thinks she's dying and begins begging the other girls for help.
Instead of helping her, the other girls, played by at least two of them, PJ Souls and Nancy Allen.
Yep.
Begin throwing tampons and sanitary napkins at her, yelling her to plug it up. Plug it up. Plug it up.
Yeah. Finally, the gym teacher, Miss Collins, comes
the only
in. The only
fucking
compassionate person in this entire fucking movie.
Right. Well, Sue Snell and her
Tommy.
boyfriend
Sue
were
and Tommy
actually,
were pretty,
and we'll get to that later, but
will.
they were actually compassionate towards Carrie.
And they were genuine.
Yeah.
Finally, the gym teacher, Miss Collins, steps in and gets the girls to stop and comforts Carrie, like literally like gets down on the shower floor with her and comforts her before taking her to the principal's office.
After calling her Cassie multiple fucking times.
And her correcting him multiple fucking times.
Well, the gym teacher even corrected him multiple times.
Go home. Take care of yourself, Cassie.
It's Carrie.
An ashtray flies off the desk because, yes, this is 76, you were allowed to smoke in school.
Yeah.
We're all sorry about this incident, Cassie.
It's Carrie!
And crashes to the ground, seemingly without anyone touching it.
She is then sent home for the day, and on her walk home, she is taunted by a little kid on a bike.
Creepy Carrie! Creepy Carrie!
Whose bike then mysteriously crashes. Weird.
At home, her abusive and religiously fanatical mother, Margaret, played by Piper Laurie,
Yes.
tells Carrie
all
that
her frizzy-haired glory.
Right. tells Carrie that her period was brought on by all of her sin. You sinner.
You can see your dirty pillows.
You should have told me, Mama! You should have told me!
So weird. Yeah.
So this is kind of a side note on Piper Laurie's attitude towards this film, not to mention Nancy Allen and John Travolta's. Yes, this was John Travolta's very first film before Grease, before Saturday Night Fever.
In this movie, actually, like.
They thought that with the with the material that they were provided, that they were shooting a dark comedy, not a horror film. In fact, Piper Laurie, in between takes, had to stop because she was laughing over the way her character was behaving, thinking that there's absolutely no way in hell anybody would behaving the way that her character was behaving.
Yeah. Although, I'm sure there's plenty of people just like that.
Amy just watched this documentary. Amy, what was the name of the documentary that you just watched?
Right here.
Amy,
Like
what was...
Sweet?
Yes.
Oh, Keep Sweet.
Sweet,
No
Bang.
I don't remember what it's called. We'll put it down here.
Keep
But it was
Sweet,
about
Bang.
Keep sweet, love and pray or something.
Obey,
Obey, pray.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I watched that too.
The fanatical
the
group.
LDS church. It was a fanatical group.
FLDS.
Yeah.
It was a fanatical group of the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what this mother's character was doing. Not to the grand scale that the FLDS was doing, but it's in the same
But pretty
vein.
close.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. So.
Her mother tells her that her period was brought on by her sin.
And even though Carrie pleads with her, saying she didn't sin, Mama, she locks Carrie in a prayer closet to pray to God for forgiveness. Can I talk about this scene a little bit?
What is up with the fucking, like, Baphomet thing in the goddamn
and it's
closet?
actually, so I think it's Saint Sebastian is who it's supposed to be. I'd have to do a little bit more research. I should have researched more before this, but it is like a lot of people get belief that it's Jesus on a cross.
It's not Jesus on a cross. It's clearly not.
Yeah.
Because it was a spear that pierced Jesus, not multiple
and
fucking
the hands
arrows.
are in different ways
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So I don't know what I think
thing was fucking
from what
creepy.
I remember, it's Saint Sebastian, and there's a reason for why she had Saint Sebastian in the prayer closet.
Either way, it's fucking creepy.
I want to talk about this scene though, because when she starts talking to her mom about having gotten her period, you can tell that Carrie is a normal person. She's like, Mama, why didn't you tell me? They were making fun of me. They were all laughing at me. Like, you can tell that she is not mentally handicapped. She is not low IQ. She is very much a normal person, and the reason that she comes off as so strange is because of the abuse of her mother.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. 100%.
And it's just, it's
sick. It's fucking sick.
Yes. Yes.
At school, Miss Collins reprimands Carrie's tormentors by punishing them with exercise detention, threatening to suspend them and revoke their prom tickets if they refuse. One, Nancy Allen straight up does refuse.
Yeah. Chris Hargison, who Nancy Allen plays Chris, which is Carrie's, literally, she is the main bully.
Yeah, she's kind of like the arch nemesis,
yeah,
right.
She's her main bully. And she eventually refuses to continue this detention and gets banned from the prom.
You can't get away with this if we all stick together, Norma!
Shut up, Chris. Just shut up.
Chris begins to plot vengeance against Carrie for making her miss her senior fucking prom.
Yeah, well.
Because, oh my god, it's the end of the world.
Sue Snell, one of Carrie's other classmates, who actually, we mentioned Sue a little bit earlier.
Right.
So she seems like a genuinely good person.
Mm-hmm.
Who, like, yes, at the beginning she was participating.
Amy Irving.
Yeah. So she was participating in the whole plug it up thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost by default, I think she just kind of got caught up in what was going on. I don't think she would ever, like, initiate something like that.
No.
So anyways, Sue and she and her boyfriend Tommy, who is like a basketball star, right? And
Yeah,
baseball,
like that.
he's a sports star.
He's a jock.
He's a jock. She feels bad for Carrie and about what happened with Carrie, and she convinces Tommy to take her to prom.
Meanwhile, Carrie begins to realize that she can do things with her mind.
Mm-hmm. Mostly when she's upset, it seems like.
Right. If this was set in any other universe, Charles Xavier would have rolled up and
Oh,
taken her
hell
away from
yeah.
that motherfucking thing.
Yep. She goes to the library and begins looking for books about telekinesis and starts to learn more about her powers.
While in the library, Tommy asks her out to prom, and she promptly runs away.
Like, she just, like, turns and full-on runs out of the library. She believes that the proposition is a prank, but he insists that it's genuine, and she does eventually accept his invitation to the prom.
He's trying to trick me again.
Yeah, after he shows up at her house unannounced.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised that scene that her mother even allowed her to answer the fucking door.
Me too.
When Carrie informs her mother she plans to attend the prom, she forbids her from going, saying,
After the blood come the boys, like sniffing dogs.
that this is leading her to sin and that
If I concentrate hard enough, I can move things.
they're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Yes, this is where we get that line.
Mm-hmm.
If you've heard that line used in any other form of media, it is from this source material.
Yep. Despite her protests, Carrie rebels, and she tells her she's going to prom anyway. And as Margaret sees evidence of her daughter's telekinetic powers, she's broken the mirror in her room, she's made things move in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret's got to know that something's going on. Mm-hmm. And she ends up calling Carrie a witch.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Chris and her dumb shit boyfriend Billy, played by the very young John Travolta, as I said earlier, this is his very first
in this movie.
This is his very first role. And a few other friends break into a pig farm and kill and drain a pig of its blood to put in a bucket to apparently dump on Carrie at the prom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How they plan to do that?
We'll see. That bucket was, with the intention of placing it on a beam above the stage, and Chris and Billy hiding under the stage and waiting for their time.
I can see your dirty pillows. Everyone will.
Breasts, Mama. They're called breasts. And every woman has them.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Meanwhile, Carrie and Tommy have a good time at the prom, and Carrie looks beautiful.
Honestly,
her teacher looks beautiful. She actually gets complimented on the dress by somebody else.
Like, multiple people are, like, incredibly nice to her at prom.
And, like, she made the dress from scratch, made it herself and everything.
She looks stunning.
No, she really does. But she also, there was, like, this little montage of her going to, like, makeup counters and trying different makeup and stuff like that. At the behest of, Mrs. Collins?
Yeah, Miss Collins.
Miss Collins, the gym teacher, who was the only positive influence in this girl's life, honestly.
Literally.
So,
yeah. So, some of Chris Hargetson's friends, you know, Chris and Billy are, they've set up this whole rig they've got a string basically tied to this bucket that's going to dump the bucket onto Carrie. But her friends conspire to fix the winner of Prom King and Queen to make sure that Carrie and Tommy win.
Hey, you're beautiful. To the devil with false modesty.
The devil.
my biggest question here, and I don't know that it was explained in film, it may have been explained in the book, but how did they end up on the ballot in the first place?
I don't know.
Because the paper was printed with
was
their names
printed
on it. So it was made up prior to the thing.
Yeah.
We're led to believe
Somebody
that
had to have
this entire film,
yeah.
Well, obviously,
yeah.
but we're led to believe that this entire film takes place over the course of, at most, maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, it's just something that kind of irks me that how did they end up on the ballot and everything like that?
Probably because of Tommy. And then it was just whoever his date was. Which maybe that's how things worked back then. I really don't know. I know, when I was in high school, there was an elected prom court.
It wasn't Tommy. It wasn't Billy, because Billy wasn't even at the prom.
No, I mean, Tommy, somebody probably elected Tommy.
Oh.
As prom king.
Okay.
And
by default,
because his date was Carrie, that Carrie became...
Which, by the way, you don't, nowadays at least, or at least when we were in high school, it didn't have to be the couple that you were there with.
No. It was whoever was king and whatever
queen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if they weren't together, they weren't together. That's just the way it is.
Somehow they've won because of vote tampering.
Yes. Weird.
I swear, we're not political on this channel. As Carrie stands on stage with Tommy, finally beginning to feel accepted by her peers.
Like, they're all clapping for her and cheering and...
Right.
Yeah.
Sue shows up and realizes Chris and Billy's plan and tries to intervene.
Yeah. But, because Carrie had already gone to Miss Bishop, or Miss Collins, and had said, you know, I feel like this is a trick, I feel like they're trying to trick me, and she actually, earlier in the film, Miss Collins pulls Tommy and Sue into her office, and she's like, you better not be fucking with Carrie, basically.
Well, they actually said straight up that Tommy cannot take Carrie to the prom. That's what Miss Collins says to them, and they're like, look, we're just trying to do something nice for her.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And they really genuinely were.
They really genuinely were.
Yeah. So she, like, Sue comes to the prom and, like, just kind of comes in a back door, basically.
Because she wanted to see Carrie having fun and being normal.
Yeah, yeah. But while she's standing there, she feels that rope getting tugged on, and she realizes
and here
what's
is another
happen.
problem that I have. She sees the rope, she looks up, she sees the fucking bucket of blood. why didn't you just hold the fucking rope so whoever was going to pull it couldn't fucking pull it?
Good call. Also, why didn't she just run up onto the stage and get everybody off the stage? Anyways, so
yeah, Chris and Billy pull the cord, covering Carrie in the pig's blood before sneaking out of the school. Actually,
Yeah.
you know, we do have. There it is up there. Look.
Oh, Carrie. Come here, you. She's neon.
Yeah, she's
Like
black
me.
light
Like
light
us.
sensitive.
Like us.
If you're gonna be on Slash Sisters, you gotta be bright and vivid.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just the
She's
rules.
one of the sisters. We had to make her match us.
It's one of the bylaws.
So after the bucket of blood gets dumped on Carrie, the bucket actually falls from the beams.
Before it does, we are treated to one of the weirdest, heartbreaking scenes where everything is deathly quiet except for the bucket swinging back and forth.
Yep.
We actually do see Tommy chastise the crowd.
Yeah, he's pissed.
He's fucking
angry.
pissed.
Yeah.
He chastises the crowd, and then the bucket falls on his head,
Hits him. Yeah.
knocking him out. Which, by the way, a galvanized bucket, even from that height, would not knock anybody out.
Maybe it just hit just right. Either way, it knocks him down to the ground, which inevitably seals his fate.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Norma, played by that's Nancy Allen's character, correct?
No, Norma's PJ Souls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
She's the one who
Oh
started
yeah, the
laughter.
baseball hat.
Mhm.
Why would you wear a baseball hat to your senior prom?
She's
Please
always wearing that
explain.
baseball
I
hat.
know.
Always.
Norma begins to laugh with some of the other students. Honestly, in that scene, it only looked like it was her laughing.
And it could have been.
And I honestly think that's what it was.
I think she very much starts to hallucinate here at the end.
No, she totally does. What I saw was just Norma laughing.
Yep.
Everybody else was in shock and disbelief. But Carrie kind of snaps, literally snaps, and sees the entire ensemble of people on
Laughing,
the floor,
pointing,
laughing
yeah.
and mocking, and then of course her mother's voice. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at
and
you.
over and over again. She just keeps hearing it. They're all
Right.
gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Right. And she goes full Red Queen, homicidal.
For sure. She telekinetically seals all the exits. I mean, some are able to try to push out.
Before Sue was able to intervene, Miss Collins
Miss Collins
threw her out,
thinking that she was part of
it. So
right.
I have to say that because of a later scene.
Yeah,
coming
because
out.
Sue escapes and Nancy and Billy also left. Or Chris and Billy
played
left,
by Nancy and John. Yeah.
Left and were able to escape before she sealed the exits as well.
Yeah.
So Carrie seals all the exits telekinetically. Does just basically the rest of this movie, she is pretty much well, not the rest until she gets home. She is arms at her side, slightly out. Sorry, you can't really see me because I'm behind the table. But arms slightly out, covered in blood, and she
you can kind of see
essentially
the way her arms
does
are
not
right there.
move
Yeah.
from that position until she gets home.
She's walking, but she's like walking very
yeah.
stiffly and
Yeah. But from the stage, she locks the doors and begins her terror. Attacking people with a fire hose, injuring several, and actually killing Norma, which she fucking deserved.
The fire hose incident with I believe that was PJ Souls' character.
Yeah, Norma.
The pressure from the fire hose
Would have
actually
ripped her skin off.
ruptured her eardrums in real life.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that scene where she's on the ground, she's not unconscious.
Right. She's actually hurt.
She's actually hurt, and she's flipping her head back and forth because eardrums control one's equilibrium. So she was thrown completely off balance, which is one of the reasons why she fell, and one of the reasons why she's so fucking disoriented after the fall.
Makes sense.
They left all of it in. Brian De Palma, because of the way she reacted to it, left it in because it fit with what was happening.
Makes sense. It makes sense, yeah.
A falling basketball backboard crushes Miss Collins after she and the students attempt to carry Tommy's body away from the stage.
Yeah. Carrie then electrocutes her principal and English teacher.
Because of the water hose, the fire
the
hose,
water,
the electricity and everything like that.
Yep. The electrocuted principal ends up bursting into flames and setting the entire gym on fire.
She exits the burning school and seals the door behind her, leaving the trapped staff and classmates to their grisly fate.
Yeah. As Carrie is walking home, still really like in that same position, with her hands to the side, or arms to the side, hands slightly out, is walking home. And Chris and Billy drive up behind her and attempt to run her over.
Chris is driving Billy's fucking car, which I'm surprised that, one, he would let her do that, and then two, on top of everything, he was crying in the passenger seat, which I thought was an interesting note, because while he was very much a bully and not the instigator of it, Chris was definitely the instigator of it. He definitely went along with her, and I could tell in that moment that he had genuine remorse. Whether it was remorse for what he did to her, or remorse for all of his friends that
were now dead
or going to die, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So as she's walking down the road, they try to run her over. Chris tries to run her over, and with her mind, she turns and faces, like, stares dead into the camera, by the way. But turns right and telekinetically flips and rolls their car, killing them.
Now, in the 2013 version, I will say this, because of the advancement of technology that transpired from 76 to 2013, the scene looks so much better in the 2013 version.
I don't think I've seen the 2013 version.
I've never seen it, but it's actually in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. Carrie's walking down very much the same way that she is in this version of it, and instead of having her like kinetically move the car, she stays there.
Oh, and the car just can't.
And the car just fucking smashes, like it drives head on into something, and it explodes into flames.
Yeah, that's cool.
It looks so much better than.
That's cool.
Not to say that this does not look good,
especially for the time. Like, that was a pretty cool.
It
effect.
rolled like 4 or 5 times before it burst into flames and exploded, but the head-on thing just to me looked cool.
That's very, very cool.
After Carrie bathes herself at home, first she comes home and finds the house completely illuminated
filled with candles.
by fucking candles.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a fire hazard.
Right. Well, then she goes up to her room and finds 2 taper candles
on her
the
fucking bed. I was like, that's dangerous. That's real dangerous.
But we also see that, like, the tapestry of the Last Supper that was hanging up at their, like, dining table or whatever had been ripped from the wall, and various other religious artifacts were strewn about and everything like that. Clearly, her mother has gone off the fucking rails.
Yep.
But she gets up to her room, and which is in the attic, by the way.
Yeah.
And draws herself a bath and strips and gets into the bath and cleans herself off. Did you notice that when she went into the bathroom, her mother was standing behind the fucking door?
Yeah.
Very
fucking
creepily.
creep.
That reminded me very much, even though this came way before it, of Hereditary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Specifically with the religious overtones.
Big time.
Margaret reveals that Carrie was conceived when her husband was drunk and before they were married, an act that Margaret admits she enjoyed.
She said,
I should have killed myself when he put it in me. After the first time, before we were married.
I liked it! She's so fucking over the top, that character.
I liked it! Well, that dirty touching of his hands on me, all over me.
Which is why Piper Laurie had a hard time believing that this was anything that could actually happen.
At black comedy.
Right.
She then stabs Carrie in the back with a kitchen knife, which sends Carrie tumbling down the stairs and into the kitchen.
And then as soon as she gets down, her mother, Margaret, thank you. You know, we've been doing this for so long. There's so much going on.
There's a lot of names. remember.
But she gets down to the bottom of the steps, and with this fucking, like, blissfully ignorant smile on her face, makes the sign of the cross
With the knife before she
and
goes
I'm just
to try
like,
to stab
are you
Carrie
fucking
again.
kidding me?
Yeah. But
Carrie telekinetically sends knives and spatulas and spoons and
everything that she can think of
a
to
potato
stab her.
peeler and everything, right?
Yeah.
Flying towards Margaret, pinning her to the door frame and stabbing her through her body, essentially killing her, and leaving her in that same position as that statuette.
I'm pretty sure it's Saint Sebastian.
As the statuette in the prayer closet.
Yep. Carrie, feeling quite distraught after having killed her mother, then forces the house to implode upon itself.
Did you notice that when she pulled her mother down, like, so one knife pins her up here,
right.
the other hand pin, the other something
and for
pins
like
her.
a good few
so
minutes,
she
her mom's hand is still pinned. One of them is still pinned, and she's like,
it's this one, and she's like pulling it, but like all of a sudden you just hear those.
Yes.
It was like a loud plop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was her hand coming out of the wall.
And I'm just like, okay, fully designed. You really dropped the ball on that one. That's not what that would sound like.
For sure.
I couldn't help but laugh.
She forces the house to implode upon
Yeah,
itself.
so I had a problem with that scene too. I think that because Carrie was fucking normal, and now that she's gotten rid of her mother, she should have exited the house, forced the house in.
I would have liked that too. I would have liked to have seen Carrie walk away. However, even if she had walked away, she would have, been arrested and probably sent to the death chair and everything else. But
she could have easily gotten away, though.
Yeah.
She could have easily gotten away. It's never established how much money that family has. Obviously, it's not very much.
Yeah.
But she could have taken that and started a new life for herself someplace else. Which is actually implied in the music video from Ice Nine Kills, Hell in the Hallways.
Yes.
Anyway, sometime later, Sue, who was the sole survivor of that night, at least the teenage survivor.
Of the teenagers, yeah.
Right. Has a nightmare in which she goes to lay flowers on the charred remains of Carrie's home. If you pay close attention, you actually can tell that it's a nightmare sequence before the jump scare at the end and cuts back to like her
the fog and the mist and just the way that it's shot.
The
haze
and everything. But when she's walking down the sidewalk, not only is she walking barefoot, but if you look in the background, the cars are driving in reverse.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Which, as soon as I saw that, I had to rewind that back to, one, make sure that I actually saw what I was seeing. Knowing that it's a dream sequence, knowing how this ends and everything like that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. I like that.
That is. But yeah, so when she goes to lay the flowers down, though, Carrie's hand reaches up from the ground and grabs Sue's arm. But... Yeah, it's just there's a for sale sign in this big empty lot.
Burn in hell, Carrie White.
Yeah, and that's essentially like the end. She wakes up from her dream.
Yeah, she wakes up from her dream screaming, still thinking that Carrie's holding on to her hand. By the way, that was actually Sissy Spacek's hand that came out of the ground.
Really?
She was adamant that it had to be her hand to do it. Brian De Palma was like, look, you don't have to do this. We can hire a stunt woman. You don't want to be buried underneath that dirt. She's
Except
like,
that
no,
she
it
was
has
there.
to be.
I don't want to necessarily say that she went method.
She kind of did.
But she kind of did.
Yeah.
She wore that dress.
Mm-hmm.
She would not take the dress off because she was worried about continuity and the blood being
Which,
correct. Which... Props
to her on that because I enjoy continuity when it comes to wardrobe and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I have an attention to detail, and I expect people on these level of productions to have the same attention to fucking detail.
Agreed. And she very much she essentially did go method before method was really a thing.
Right.
Yeah, but that's it, y'all. That's Carrie. What are your thoughts, Hallie?
If this film were to be a shot-for-shot remake made today, it would not get made.
No.
It would not get made.
No.
I don't know how it was made in 76. I don't know how the 2013 did it. because I haven't seen the
I
2013
haven't
one.
either. I assume there's not nudity.
Or
At least not the
if there is, it's not full
explicit gross
frontal with the
nudity, like,
merkins and everything like that.
Bush and everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that, this is a bloody machete up because it is a sick, twisted tale of abuse, neglect, fanaticism, brought to a boiling point, and I think it's done in mostly a tasteful way.
It's a very beautifully shot film, beautifully directed. I mean, Brian De Palma, you can't go wrong with that man.
You can.
Well, yeah, you can. But it's a beautiful film to watch. It had been quite a while since I had seen it, and God, that opening scene really, I know it's supposed to be uncomfortable.
very poorly.
It's supposed to be uncomfortable. You're watching a girl who clearly doesn't have a normal teenage life.
Right, or a normal life, period.
Getting her period. So yes, it is supposed to be uncomfortable. It is supposed to make you feel certain things.
But it did not age well. But now, mind you,
the way that it's shot is, especially when they're filming Carrie, she is seductively touching herself. She is no more than 16 or 17 years old.
17. So
at the most, she's a senior in high school.
IMDb states that Sissy Spacek was 25 years old whilst filming this, but Carrie White's character is 17.
Yeah.
So
gross. So yeah, aside from that opening scene giving me the absolute heebie-jeebies, it's a bloody machete up for me too. But I think that's the intent of the opening scene.
No, it's definitely meant
to
make you feel uncomfortable and everything like that. But like I said, it did not age well.
I don't know if the intent was to make you feel uncomfortable because of the period part, or if it was to make you feel uncomfortable because you're in a... I don't think the intent was to make you feel uncomfortable because you're in a locker room.
No, I don't think...
That was because if you look back on
Porky's in the 80s.
Exactly. We still have teenage girls in locker rooms with nudity.
Right. No, I'm not saying that. It's the way it was shot. It with the slow panning camera, the kind of sensual.
The way that it's almost shot like it's softcore corn.
Softcore corn. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's that opening scene is gross, but. It's also, I think it wouldn't be the same without it.
No, but we're also talking about a film that's 49 years old now, too. So, there are faults with it, clearly.
For sure. But Bloody Machete up for me, for sure. It is a phenomenal movie with absolutely great scares.
We're going to send this straight back to Bates High School because, yes, that was the name
Bates High School, yeah.
Yeah. That may come into play here, or actually, I think it's already come into play.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna
get it on.
We're not going back to franchises yet.
No?
We're starting a new one.
Well, it's not really a franchise. I guess it is a franchise.
It is a franchise.
Yeah, it is.
Three films franchise does make.
It's not gonna go any further than that, though.
No, can't.
You guys.
A lot of you out there are probably not going to enjoy what we're going to do next.
And I don't give a flying fuck.
Fuck you.
Because we have not had Rob Zombie on our channel yet. And I am ready.
And if we're going to do a Rob Zombie film...
Why not start at the beginning?
Exactly. So, with that, do you know what it is?
The
Comment below if you know what it is.
Of my man Otis. Show me, Hallie.
House of 1,000 Corpses, which is basically Texas Chainsaw on acid.
Yes.
Honestly. That's the best way I can describe it.
And I think that's probably why I fell in love with this movie from the second
Yeah. I enjoyed it, but you can definitely see, the
heavy
trouble.
Influence. Heavy
well,
influence.
But the trouble that Rob Zombie had with the studio.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Come back here in 1 week's time after you've watched this, and we will break it down for you. It does star one of my, he's not, he's a stand-up comic, but he's done, he hosted, Talking Dead.
She's talking about Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
He hosted the after show Talking Dead after The Walking Dead on AMC.
Yep.
Loved him in that. He also, I didn't know this until I watched that, he was the host of MTV's Singled Out in the 90s.
With Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
I do remember that. I've been a Chris Hardwick fangirl for a very, very, very long time. So,
Anyway.
come back next week
Yeah.
where we talk about all of... There's so many people in this movie
Mermaid
that I
Boy!
absolutely love Mermaid Boy. Oh,
All right.
anyways, yes, please come back next week. We've got a lot to talk about. This is one of my favorite movies. Yes. And until next time, make sure you slash that subscribe button.
Stab that like button.
And ringling the grave bell so you don't get buried alive and you keep up to date on all the stuff we're doing on this crazy old channel.
And until next time, we will see you all
in the afterlife. That's right.